Welcome to an episode of TooHealthTalk. You sure get to break each your challenges in a very simple and honest conversation. On today's episode, we have a special guest. She's like a sister to me, so very very special. And I'm very happy to have her on the show today. So, but before we continue, please wait for what we're doing here. Wait to see more finest doctor and more sound doctors. Please subscribe to our channel, share this video, and like what we do here. So back to the discussion of the day. On this episode, we have Dr. Pamela. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you.
Dr. Pamela has been in system for this particular topic we are going to discuss for over 10 years. And I'm so happy for her to come in, share her knowledge with every one of us here. You're welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
How do you feel being here?
Happy, excited. So actually, this whole thing came out of a very casual conversation that we had one day after consulting. And, so I think very easily we can both agree that we're both passionate about the same thing where it comes to health education first, and then just sexual health and sex health education, and how somehow we're not having enough conversations about these things because there's so much that's, if you knew, you could have done better. So I guess that's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, so we'll talk about female sexual body, the readiness for female to have sex. Female body are built differently than men. The men, there's a man can be 15 years and won't experience any changes or much changes. But females, if you're up to 15 or even 14, they're already experiencing changes. So today's topic is about the readiness for females to have sex. So I want to throw this question to you now. What is the perfect age to have sex?
Okay, so your question is what's the perfect age to have sex? I think it's not an age thing. I don't think that's how the question should be asked. But then also, I want to go back to what you said earlier. You were mentioning something about how the female's body, things are changing with women, puberty and whatnot. So in recent times, we find that puberty has been sort of backtracking. So back in the day, you hear parents say things like they saw their periods at 12, 15. Right now, you get to see girls at 8, 9 start to see their periods. And, it's getting younger and younger. And that's a whole different conversation. So why I'm going back to that statement is a girl who now starts to see her period at 9, do you think that because puberty has kicked in, then she's now ready to have intercourse because she has seen her period? Of course I disagree with that.
Yeah, sure.
So, there's so much going on in the society when it comes to plastic, whatever else is happening in the environment that is causing things to change when it comes to biology. But so that does not translate to readiness. That's the point I'm trying to make. So when it comes to readiness for intercourse, it is even much more beyond the biology and the physics or whatever that's going on in your body than it is mentally, socially, psychologically. When I see a young woman and a young man who is engaging, because clearly the young woman is not engaging by herself, I wonder if these people are old enough and mature enough to have conversations around the consequences of the action. So, we're going to be together. What if there's an STI? What happens? What if there's a pregnancy? What happens? What if there's this? What happens? And for me, that's almost like a litmus test. You're not old enough and confident enough and bold enough to even have these conversations. How come you are already under the sheets? I feel like even that alone is enough for you to realize that your minds are not ready. But then even going back to the biology of it, it's actually a very personal question. It's a very personal decision. There's no right time. There's no wrong time. A 20-year-old might not be ready and a 19-year-old is ready, or a 30-year-old might not be ready because there's so much going on with her mentally. And she's just not in that place where she can engage at that level, right? And there's also the religious aspect to it as well. So a lot of people, if you're from this part of the world, most of what we do is actually, everybody belongs to one level, one religious sect. So you're either Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever. And, there's just you want to get married a virgin. And, that is usually placed on the woman than the man. And I know that the men are sleeping with women. So, but again, that's another conversation for another day. But just to say that, the readiness, there's so much to do with psychologically ready, emotionally ready, and even just socially. Are you ready? You that you're the man, you're going to be with a woman. If she gets pregnant, what would you do about it? Would you go and be calling your mommy to ask her for medicine for folic acid? Are you ready? You're not ready. So it's not even just the biology, it's not just the body. and the body is also another conversation to be had.
Wow. So medically now, like, what is readiness? Was like medically, like, is there like a medical perspective of being ready to have sex?
So for women, there's a thought that comes to my mind when I hear that. I'm sure everybody listening to this may have heard about HPV, which is the human papilloma virus. So HPV is known to be one of the biggest risk factors for having cervical cancer. So when a woman engages too early, or rather, let me say it this way. So your cervix, for those who do not understand biology, let me just give you a graphic image. So your cervix basically is the entryway into the uterus, which is what most people would normally call the womb. Your cervix has an endoderm, which is more on the inside, and an ectoderm that is more on the outside. So there's a junction between that place, and that's a very sweet spot where the HPV virus likes to stay. So that junction is not fully mature until the age of 19 to 21. So anybody who gets the HPV virus early, and you typically would get it from unprotected intercourse, especially if you have multiple partners, you have just basically bought a ticket to have cervical cancer in the future.
Wow.
So I would put the question back to you. What business does an 11 or a 12 or a 13-year-old have with being sexually active? And sometimes it's not even socially out of choice. There's the early marriage. There are so many things out there that can make you prone. There's the sexual abuse, there's everything. So, but just to say that a girl who is that young and not yet mature in many ways biologically is setting herself up or has been set up for a lot of risk compared to if this person was 25 years old. So again, there's no age I can say that this is the age. But to answer that question, so that part of your cervix would mature around 16 to 18 years, somewhere between 19 to 21. Most women will have it fully mature. So, in that conversation, we would now start talking about safe sex and single partners, not having multiple partners. But when you're in a society where you have one boyfriend who has 10 girlfriends, you essentially meet 10 people at once. That's my opinion, because the HPV is just moving around very quickly.
So now you're saying now, so for you to be able to have like sex, you should go up to 19 years old.
I didn't say it that way. If that's what you get out of it, it's up to you. I didn't say it that way. I'm just saying, because now it's not a license to say at 19, I don't know, what was I doing? Med school, 4th year, I can't remember. Again, it's still your choice, but I think 19 is pretty young, to be honest. Personal decision, I think 19 is pretty young. So if you want to go with the biology of it, we're looking at, are you mentally ready? Is your body ready? If we go with this cervix analogy, I would even take the bar up to 21.
Wow.
But then again, like I said, everybody is different. It depends on.
So now, are there any risk factors, like apart from having this like cervix cancers now, like are there any other risk factors to like early sex?
Yes, so I would say again and again, and I think I've made that point, that the main issue I see here with that early onset is the maturity, is the emotional and psychological maturity of the people involved. A girl who is 14 and a woman who is 24, which one do you think would be able to say no or stop when she wants to stop? Which one do you think will be able to sit with her partner and discuss, I'm ovulating now? Does she even know what her cycle is at 14 compared to who is 24? Is she able to say, this is a safe period for me, this isn't a safe period? Is she able to say, let's use a condom? Is she able to say, the younger you are, most people are not as vocal about their bodies, and basically they don't have agency. Not that they don't have, but they are not just as vocal about it as opposed to a more mature woman. So for that reason, the risk is too much. It's everywhere.
Wow. So now, if you are going to talk about, you've talked about being emotionally ready and psychologically. Are there signs
That a person is emotionally ready?
Yes.
Conversations. I think that's just the easiest way. You would know when you speak to a mature woman, you would know that this woman is ready, like she's emotionally mature. I think our backgrounds kind of influence these things to an extent. When you start to see young people who have very healthy family upbringing, where conversations are had in the open, people they've been taught that they can question things, they've been taught that there's no topic that is off limits. Their minds tend to grow, they are able to come back home and say, this is what I heard in school, or mom, I'm curious about this. They can ask these questions, just like we're having these questions now, very casually. I think those people are better informed. They are able to say to their parents, oh, I'm liking this guy in school, mommy, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And their parents can now navigate it, and teach them about their bodies, teach them how to do things right, when to do things. And because that communication is open, I feel like, it's an opportunity for parents to really influence the outcome of what could possibly happen. And maturity is stemmed from that. That's what I'm trying to say. But that introverted person who has never had this conversation and only just taking everything in, nothing comes out, you're not bouncing it off anybody, you don't understand your body, because understanding your body gives you confidence. Understanding your body will avoid a lot of careless mistake. And that's another topic I think you should explore, where we teach about, the menstrual cycle and what, because it will shock you. Many adults in their 30s do not understand their menstrual cycle.
Wow.
So I feel like the more women are educated about their own bodies, they take charge. And I think that day we had that conversation, we said things like, you go outside this country and women offer condoms, right? And here it's a taboo. I'm not saying I'm encouraging women to be on the street, because I know that's what it can sound like. However, the consequence of unprotected intercourse falls on the woman. It is you that will drop out of school.
True.
It is you, I hope you know, that has a higher chance of catching an infection as opposed to the man.
Wow.
It is you that your life gets interrupted completely. The public shame of whatever that has happened, it is you that will carry it. Why should I leave that major decision to another person? Really, why? If I'm going to engage with somebody and I know that I don't want a pregnancy to come out of that, I had better do everything to prevent that from happening. So that's why I'm trying to say that we need to have more conversations where women understand this is a safe period, this isn't, or, you speak to a man, you like him, but you realize that this guy is a bit randy, his eyes everywhere, and you know that that's a risk for you. You should have the right and the confidence to say, no, I don't want this for myself. This person is not responsible enough.
Wow.
I don't want timid women that don't understand that it's your life, it's your body. That's all I'm saying, really.
Well, I saw one post on Twitter. I don't know if I can bring my phone. I thought I'll just go my phone and show you. Like where someone was saying, when someone talked about this same stuff, he said now that okay, if you're going to shame now, like they'll shame the girl more, oh, you don't carry belly and stuff like that. But still, yet, most ladies in Nigeria they don't like condoms. So they're like,
I don't know about that.
I was like, a lot of people were saying it on Twitter that ladies don't like condoms in Nigeria, and it's somehow that if you're thinking about it now. The problems, like every glass goes they will receive is from the girl.
Yeah. So again, I don't know. There's no wisdom in that. So I'm not saying condom is the thing. If you should have one partner, you should be having intercourse in a committed relationship. Example, marriage. Yeah, I need to say that before it means to sound like I'm asking people to go and have intercourse. But then again, I like to say that I am a doctor. I'm a Christian, but I am a doctor as well. So when I see a young lady sit in front of me, I would preach abstinence because I know that abstinence is so valuable, right? However, I will now tell you that should you choose not to abstain, this is how to do it right. And that's the conversation we're having. So if you are not married and you're with somebody, the importance of using condom, I don't know how faithful that person is to you. And I don't think you know either. So by the time, like I said, you're sleeping with one person, but it's like 10 people because dude has other girlfriends. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying everybody's unfaithful. I'm just saying that women need to be more protective of themselves. So if you say that you don't like condoms, I don't know what your interest is. Are you trying to prevent infection? Are you trying to prevent pregnancy? Are we having conversations about contraceptives? Women also don't know these things. They don't know that there are other contraceptives. The only things they know is condom and withdrawal. They don't know that there are IUDs. They don't know that there's so much more. There are pills you can take, some not good for you, some good for you, depending on your family history and your personal health history. We need to have these conversations. That's all I'm saying. And in those conversations, you will know what's good for you. You should book an appointment to your doctor and just talk. It's not only when you have malaria and typhoid. Like literally just come in and go like, I've had one young lady do that and it blew my mind. First time in Nigeria, someone said that to me. She was like, oh, there's this guy. I'm really liking him. He's really liking me. Very soon we're getting there. Sort me out. And I start to teach her. I started with her cycle. You better don't go and, and I'm teaching her about her cycle. Telling her this is safe, this is not safe, blah, blah, blah. Then telling her that contraceptives, infection prevention, and even with that, you should still be checking and know your status. because you only know you. You don't know the next person.
Yeah,
It's as
true.
simple as that. And I would say this, I mean, it's a little bit off, but then any illness that brings you to the hospital has already got you. But the illness that you find from just routine checks, you would win that battle. So always check, do your screenings, And then again, if you haven't had the intercourse yet, please go and do a pap smear. You go and check, be sure there's no HPV in the system. Then you get the vaccine. Check hepatitis B, C, HIV. You get the vaccine for hepatitis as well. Be proactive. Do these things. It's your body. It's yourself. So yeah, as far as not liking condom, it's your personal choice, but make sure that you are doing all the other things to protect yourself from both pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy, and infection.
Oh, so now when we come to like you talked about parents like talking to their child. So what's one like advice you have for parents?
I don't know why they shy away from these conversations, because children in their most natural form are very curious and they are very honest. So I have kids and I know this for a fact, the things they ask me, the things they ask me. So children are very curious and you want to make sure you don't don't shut them down. Don't shut them off. In our society, it's out of respect. You see things on social media like, my child sit down on the same table and have which conversation, like how dare you? It's your loss. You want to make room for them. You want to really make room for them where they can talk to you about things before they can talk to that auntie or that friend in school, and parents should do better when it comes to making room. I think it's making room and I think it's presence. You don't just show up one day and say, sit down, let's talk. Is there a guy in your class? No, you want to establish rapport. You want to create room. Make sure you're always in their space. And one day, in doing the mundane things, you will now hear one random comment that maybe she has stewed over for so long, she did not know how to throw it in. One very random, and sometimes it starts with a friend. Oh, I have somebody in my class. Meanwhile, it's your child, it's not somebody in anybody's class. So I think we just need to create room for them and be present.
Oh, so now before we go on the last one, if you're going to like advise girls and boys in general about their bodies, what would be one advice?
I think I've also touched on that all through the talk. The advice will start from knowing yourself. So even men, there's so much on that side as well. It's not only about women, but even men, we need to understand our biology. We need to understand our cycle. We need to understand ourselves. And then I would say that if there's anybody that you've considered any type of sexual relationship with and you cannot have very candid conversations with them, please just don't do it. And I don't care if this person is significantly older, your age, or younger. As long as you've decided to share that level of intimacy with them, you should be able to have conversations about the what ifs. So deep, real conversations. And if you're not able to have those conversations, that's not the right person for you. And even you, if you're not bold enough or confident enough to have that conversation, maybe you're not ready. I don't think you're mentally ready. Yeah, because what comes out of this thing is major.
Yeah, true.
You're bringing in a child. Let's even leave the pregnancy. That's just 9 months. You're bringing in a whole human being to this world. And you are still living with your parents and they give you 1K every day for transport. Like, how are you serious right now? So there's so much, there's so much to it. And then, you're with someone that you can't, I don't know, if something goes wrong, then you're scared. You're pregnant, you don't even know how to tell him. Even if both of you decide however to go about it, like, that has to be an open conversation. So I feel like my advice in simple words would be, know yourself, know your body very well. And it's your job to do that. Women, please, you have agency of yourself. Do not give that power to anyone else. It's your body, it's your life, it's your future. And this is not even for the teen pregnancies. This even goes all the way into adulthood, you're in your 30s. Unwanted pregnancy is unwanted pregnancy. Unplanned pregnancy, let me make it sound nicer. It's still unplanned pregnancy.
True.
It will disrupt your career. It will disrupt your master's program or whatever it is you're doing with yourself. So these things are planned things. Even in marriages, you should have these conversations. It's only in Nigeria that people randomly get pregnant when they get married. No, I'm serious. Because abroad, it's only in Nigeria. Because outside the country, you will hear people say things like, yeah, we've just gotten married, but we're not ready. Maybe in 2 years, and then they'll come back to their doctor. Oh, we're ready now. They plan these things.
Yeah, true.
But here, those womb watchers, 6 weeks after wedding, they're already looking at your tummy. Girl, make these decisions for yourself with your partner. Society, really is not very important. Sorry, this is random. You didn't ask me, but as I was saying it, I just remembered a couple. I used to work in fertility, and I remember this couple that, well, they were now ready to have kids, and they had come in to say something like, now they've been trying for like a whole year or two, and then baby wasn't coming. So I was wondering, because we married for 6 years, so how are you now trying for just a year? Did you use any form of contraceptive? She said no, that they use the emergency pill every single time.
Wow.
Make that make sense. This woman is married to her husband, so let's believe that at least twice a week they had intercourse. Twice a week she would use, what's that brand now that's very popular? I can't remember, but the emergency pill every
Pusnotu.
yeah, there you go.
Whoa.
Twice a week. Do you know what that does to your system? Most of these medications, in fact, this particular medication is meant to inhibit ovulation. You have inhibited ovulation for 4 years,
Wow.
and you have now come and say that you are ready, thinking that your body is waiting for you to be ready. So these are conversations I want us to normalize. And I put it to you, since your channel has been in this health education thing, have these conversations. People who are not bold enough, cannot afford to go to the hospital, they should actually come and learn basic stuff. So we're saying that you can do what you want to do within marriage or however else you want to do it, but do it right. Do it in a way that protects you, that serves you, not in a way where you harm yourself at the end. But ultimately, I think abstinence is still key. I'm serious though. I still think it's the best way when it comes to infection control and what's the other thing called? Unplanned pregnancy. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Why is the unplanned pregnancy? It sounds worried when you said unwanted pregnancy.
Well, because why I don't want to use the word unwanted pregnancy is because once the pregnancy has already come, it has to be wanted to an extent. Please, this is not pro-life, no pro-life talk or debate. Just saying that unplanned is actually the right word than unwanted.
Oh.
A lot of people don't plan it, but they want it eventually.
Wow.
Yeah, so
you have to want it by force.
Well, not by force, but so there's I don't know which, I think it's Ohio, somewhere in the US. I saw this study that they had a very high rate of abortion, and the one thing they did that crashed the abortion rate was if you come into an abortion clinic, they would offer you an ultrasound.
Wow.
And then once the mothers saw the baby, and it just moved them so much that they would decide against the abortion.
Wow.
I know, but there's so much debate around it because now you've lured her into wanting the baby. How will she take care of the baby and whatnot? But that goes back to my original topic of let us not have babies that we do not plan for. I think it's easier to prevent it at that point than when the baby has already come in.
But in Nigerian law, abortion is not allowed. So you must want the pregnancy by force.
So this conversation is now going to be about Nigerian law because that's a whole different conversation. So, but I think teaching people to sort of make sure that the pregnancies that they get are the planned ones is the way to go.
Wow.
I think that's definitely the way to go.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for I've learned a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Now, if I have a girlfriend tomorrow, we'll sit down one-on-one, we'll talk. I'll ask, are you ready?
These conversations are really important. To be honest, they are very important. I know that it makes it sound a little bit too mechanical, but the conversations are really important.
Oh.
So you want to, and I know again, we're not talking about relationships, but in general, you want to be able to sit in the stillness and then dig those deep things out and talk about them, trash them out, flesh them out, do whatever you want to do with them. Don't allow consequences or situations bring them out, because then it's no longer in its true form. So if you and your girlfriend are now expecting a baby that you did not plan for, the conversations that you would have about that pregnancy will be very different from the ones that you would have if when you guys started dating, you sat down and said, are we ready, to be intimate? And then, okay, so how do we prevent pregnancy? Or are we open to having a baby? Having those conversations, it's just so much better. So the outcome is always better. There isn't that thing hovering over your head. You do it right. So yes, if you do have a girlfriend, have that conversation with her about what your expectations are. Another thing that we don't talk about as well is how intimacy changes a relationship. It changes every relationship, right? So you want to talk about that as well. Then you also want to discuss what the expectations are. Some women, not every woman, but just to say that, even some men, You know, there are times when it looks like once we have crossed this threshold, the expectation and the dynamic of the relationship changes. We should discuss those expectations and know
True.
if everybody needs to be on the same page.
True.
Yeah, so we should have those conversations.
Thank you once again, Doctor, for like enlightening us. I
You're
know
welcome.
like this now you've touched a lot of souls.
I hope.
So thank you so much for watching up to this moment. And if you stayed up to this moment with us, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it to someone that needs it. Share it to your boyfriend, share it to your girlfriend. Come on, like watch and know if they're actually ready to have sex. See you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.